Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for all things giallo here on The King in Giallo. Our next stop on our journey through giallo cinema is the final film of our tour through 1972, and is the only giallo film directed by Romano Scavolinis, A White Dress for Marialé, also called Spirits of Death, released on November 30th, 1972. Well, let's waste no time and get right into it. Here is A White Dress for Marialé. Overview. A White Dress for Marialé, also called Spirits of Death, is an Italian production directed by Romano Scavolinis, who also co-wrote it along with Remigio Del Grosso. Music is composed by Fiorenzo Carpi. The cast is comprised of Ida Galli, billed as Evelyn Stewart as Marialé, Ivan Rassimov as Massimo, Luigi Pistilli as Paolo, Pilar Velázquez as Mercedes, Ezio Marano as Sebastiano, Gengar Gatti as Osvaldo, Giancarlo Bonuglia as Joe, and Gianni Dei as the lover in the flashback. The plot follows Marialé, who as a young girl witnessed a brutal family tragedy. Her mother shot dead by her jealous father, who then turned the gun on himself. Scarred by this trauma, Marialé grows into a fragile, neurotic woman trapped in a stifling marriage to Paolo. Hoping to bring some life into their isolated villa, the couple invites a group of friends for a decadent weekend gathering. But what begins as a social diversion soon collapses into paranoia, indulgence, and violence as a killer emerges, eliminating the guests one by one. Spirits of Death, better known under its English title, A White Dress for Marialé, is among the more offbeat gialli of 1972. Rather than leaping immediately into black-gloved mayhem, the film plays at first like a gothic chamber piece, steeped in psychodrama, before shifting gears in its final act into a 10 Little Indians-style body count. Director Romano Scavolinis himself has dismissed the film in interviews, famously calling it a hired gun assignment that, quote, only deserves to be forgotten. It's a damning self-assessment, though the film itself offers more value than his remarks suggests. What sets it apart is its fixation on psychology over plotting. The central mystery is hardly a puzzle for seasoned giallo fans. The final revelation is visible from a distance, but the journey is less about surprises and more about exposing the corrupt inner lives of its decadent ensemble. This focus puts it in the company of films like Mario Bava's $5 for an August Moon, 1970, and A Bay of Blood, also called Twitch of the Death Nerve, 1971, which both similarly reduce their casts to scheming archetypes. Scavolini stages an elaborate masquerade midway through, not to deliver carnage, but to peel back the neurosis and vices of his characters. The orgiastic energy strips them down to their ugliest instincts, priming the audience for the killings that inevitably follow. Much like Bava's insects in A Bay of Blood, Scavolini's partygoers feel more like specimens than people, ripe for extermination. As a result, the pacing can feel glacial to fans expecting a standard giallo. The painterly imagery and decadent villa interiors are gorgeous to behold, but the film deliberately delays its violence until later. When it comes, however, the murders hit hard. A savage bludgeoning in a swimming pool, and a razor attack staged with startling cruelty. Even then, the film's power lies as much in its biting cynicism about human nature as it does in its shock moments. Stylistically, Scavolini brings his eye for experimental visuals. The opening meadow sequence, idyllic romance bleeding into slow-motion slaughter, immediately signals his control of tone. Distorted camera lenses, unusual angles, and bold color schemes punctuate the dreamlike unease throughout. Fiorenzo Carpi's score underlines this with its woozy, otherworldly tone, amplifying the sense of an environment that is both beautiful and suffocating. The cast features familiar names to genre fans. Ida Galli, aka Evelyn Stewart, finally escapes her usual background roles, delivering one of her best performances as the haunted Marialé. Luigi Pistilli plays her husband Paolo with his trademark edge of duplicity. Ivan Rassimov provides his usual icy magnetism as Massimo, Marialé's former lover, who re-enters her life with ambiguous intent. The supporting players flesh out the toxic dynamic of the villa, their interactions all pointing toward the inevitable bloodshed. Romano Scavolinis was born in 1940 and began in cinema remarkably young, debuting at just 16 with the experimental feature The Blind Fly, 1966. His early career leaned heavily on art house experimentation, which made sustaining steady work difficult. He served as cinematographer on projects such as Love and Death in the Garden of the Gods, 1972, a giallo directed by his brother, writer Saro Scavolini. A White Dress for Marialé gave him a taste of commercial genre filmmaking, though he quickly moved toward more personal projects like Cuore and Your Honor, both 1973. Relocating to the United States in the mid-1970s, he even taught film at Columbia University before returning with his most infamous work, Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, 1981. That film became a cult sensation, partly because of its hyper-realistic gore effects. Tom Savini's supposed involvement became a matter of ongoing debate. Savini later insisted that he merely advised Ed French while working on Romero's Creepshow 1982, though photos exist of him on set. Scavolini would continue making films for decades, but never again would return to the giallo genre. His brother, Sauro, passed away in 2022 at the age of 88, but Romano Scavolinis remains active in the Italian film industry at the age of 85, with an upcoming film in development, Nightmare, The Wandering Soul. In closing, A White Dress for Marialé may not be a crowd pleaser. Its slow burn pacing, painterly detours, and psychological focus can alienate those seeking quick thrills. But for patient viewers, it delivers a poisonous, gothic meditation on trauma, desire, and moral decay. Even if its director wished to disown it, the film lingers as one of 1972's strangest and most fascinating gialli, an uneasy hybrid of gothic melodrama and cynical mystery that deserves far more than just oblivion. Thank you for watching this overview video. As of the time of recording this, A White Dress for Marialé can be found streaming on Tubi and Plex, plus on many sites. Don't forget to support these movies by buying them on physical media wherever possible. Stay tuned for my unscripted movie review for A White Dress for Marialé, as well as the Gialli Tally. Comment your predictions for the AZ score for the movie and the final Gialli Tally score. Thank you very much for your continued support. This is Tanner Leeser for TheKingInGiallo, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.
Stai attenta, potrebbe darti delle sorprese. Sei proprio matta.